This is Sway.
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 In the morning.
In the morning.
In the morning.
Don't shake your body.
Wake your fuck ass up. That crust out y'all.
OQ had a dream. OQ had a dream. What was it?
Yeah, you know, I was a 17-year-old high school student, and you know, had an opportunity to intern. And I see Zoe Saldana, so I'm gonna just wrap my.
Yeah, you wrap it up, OQ. Okay, Zoe Saldana about to come up here. No, let's get her in a conversation. Let's get her in a conversation. Zoe Saldana is here. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
You look beautiful. Yeah, buenos dias. OQ, don't worry, OQ.
No. We're gonna get Zoe in a conversation.
Okay, what are we talking about?
Okay, so Zoe, we were talking. Okay, here's a couple of things. First of all,
hello,
welcome back
check,
to the show. Check, mic, check.
Yes.
Okay, so DB, you met DB last time.
Where's DB? Hold on.
With the hat on right
Raise
there.
your hand, people, because I got 3 kids. I forget.
Okay, cool. DB. Don't worry about the mic cube. That is going to fall.
Okay, DB, what happened with DB?
Okay, so DB, when he came here 2 years ago, he's a friend of DJ Wonder.
5 years ago.
5 years. I'm sorry. 5 years ago, he's a friend of DJ Wonder. He came in here drunk, and he was looking for purpose in life. And Wonder asked, could he do something here? We said, well, what does he do? Nothing. And 5 years later, this guy we found out
Still
was
drunk.
Skilled writer, comedy writer. He's skilled at production.
Whoa.
He's well versed in movie knowledge, which you'll find out as he asks you
You're
questions.
going to test me.
He's going to test you.
You should test me.
Okay. And today is his first headlining gig at Caroline's on Broadway. And
Congratulations.
Yes,
oh, my
thank you.
God.
Yes, and so we were talking about dreaming things into fruition and, you know, working and ending up in places you never thought you would. And OQ was in the process of talking about what his dreams were. And you walked by and he said, oh, Zoe just walked by. I'm going to go ahead and end it real quick, you know.
That's what I was laughing.
So he never got his off.
What's your dream?
Well, you know, my dream. I grew up listening to talk radio as a kid, and you know, at 17 years old. About 21 years ago, I decided to do a high school internship where I took off 5 months out of high school.
I did that same thing.
Yeah.
It's the best thing I ever did.
Yeah, same for me. And you know, I interned at a smooth jazz station here. I wasn't listening to jazz at the time, but you know, I figured let me learn something. And about a month into my internship, the mailroom guy quit. So I said, hey, let me. I could do the mail, and it's been a long journey ever since.
Now tell her what you do now, man.
Now I'm one of the producers of Sway in the Morning.
Hey,
Yay!
Take your shirt off, Joey. Show Zoe you ain't scared.
Isn't it amazing? So it's a compilation of obviously talent, you know, fighting for your dreams to make them come true, working, investing your time, like commitment and everything, but also for those that are in positions of power, that have the ability to give an opportunity for those to actually do that. Because you guys gave DB, like just come over.
Yeah.
Like, where would you be had you not had that opportunity? Like, sometimes we're so consumed into what we're doing. I get preachy, you guys. I have 3
Go
kids.
for it,
I'm
do
so
it.
sorry.
We need this today.
I've had a lot of coffee, but literally, like, I think in order for you to fight for your dreams, you need to have people around you that see you fighting, are happy that you're fighting, and want to enable you. I think that's super important, because I've also met people that fight, and they just don't have those supportive sources around them, and they become so bitter and defeated.
Yeah.
You know.
Who were some of those folks that enabled you?
Oh my God, everybody,
Yeah.
every person, like every question I would ask, and ballet teachers, tutors. I had a tutor that taught me to speak Spanish because I didn't know how to speak Spanish when we moved to Dominican Republic, and she was amazing. My mother was just like amazing. My theater teacher, Susan Montez in Brooklyn from Faces, like what up, Susana Montes? Like she was phenomenal. Just every time I would meet someone and I would feel like that person was generous enough to share their time and their knowledge and their experiences with me, I would latch on to them and sort of just feed off of whatever they had.
So what would you say to someone, the flip side of it that you brought up a little bit before, someone who is working, hustle mode is always on, but they don't feel like the support system is there
change your support system. It's almost like when you're trying to get married, you want to find the person you're going to marry. Don't go to a club. You know what I mean? Like, go to a library, go to a bookstore. You're more likely to find a person that has more common interests. Like at night, everybody's looking for certain things primarily. You know what I mean? So if your environment is still the same and you don't really change it, and you feel like your environment isn't feeding you enough, then change it up. Like sometimes you do need new friends, and maybe you need to filter through the old friends. You know, and also like you need to be able to differentiate like a constructive criticism and just somebody putting you down. I feel like that's very important because when you love someone, you put so much effort and so much trust into that person, and when that person doesn't really have your best interest at heart, then don't confide in that person because they can literally kill your dream. Just as quickly as it began, going, I have this amazing idea, and then you go to that one person's like, you're like, oh my God, I don't ever want to speak about it again. So it's very important to change things up, you know?
Man, Zoe just walked in, dropping gems,
The
baby.
light, the bars, baby. Bars, baby.
Bars, son.
What kind of coffee is that?
Huh? I don't know. It's called the financier. Will I get rich?
You might want to license that stuff. All right, Zoe, we're going to come back and talk with Zoe a little more about all the fantastic things she has. See, your dreams matter. Zoe chimed in.
I appreciate it, Zoe.
Your dreams matter, too.
I'm talking to Zoe, man. That's a great dream.
That's my
We're going to Caroline's.
Yeah, at 7:30. All right, Shade 4-5.
That's amazing.
The sequel in theaters this Friday. 3D, IMAX, 4 or 5D, a lot of Ds in there.
Good D's, right?
Good D's, all right. Zoe plays Gamora.
Yeah.
And you have been, well, I don't want to say lucky because you work so hard, but you have really landed some really amazing roles to me.
Thank you.
It feels like you're always winning. And this movie is set to, I don't know if it's going to break box office records. What do you think?
I say yes.
You say yes?
I say yes. The first one was
DB,
pretty,
thank you.
The first one was pretty successful. I think this one, I actually like this one. It's rare to like a sequel better than the original, but this one, and the reason why I say that is because the music plays such an important role. The soundtrack was loved by everybody, but in this one, the music really plays an important part of pushing the story. Like the Fleetwood Mac song "Chains," the chain, that it kind of describes a certain relationship. And so my question to you is, do you guys have any input on certain songs? Like, can you offer something to Gunn or anything like that and say, hey, this is a dope song?
I'm pretty sure we can. I don't think I just don't. He's pretty great at what he does, and he's an amazing storyteller, and Guardians of the Galaxy is like his baby. And I honestly feel that he had this sequel in his mind as we were promoting the first movie, and he knew what he was going to do. He's also mentioned this before. He has a series of I think it's like 1,000 songs of his favorite songs, and he picks off of that list. So he has enough songs that he likes for the next 5-6 Guardians movies. And And the thing is that he chooses a song that's appropriate to these emotional beats. So we can suggest something, but we would need to know the plot, what our characters are going through, blah, blah, blah. So I just leave it all to him. Also, I love his taste in music. It's very what's the word?
Eclectic?
Well, yeah, but he's also very honest about his background. Like, he grew up in Middle America in a certain time, and that was the music that inspired him as a teenager. As he fell in love, he did this. He went to prom. Like, all these songs are defining a moment in his life that he sort of shares with us, and that's great.
I have one more question. I don't want to get too deep, but somebody like me, when I watch Guardians and it's exciting and I'm like driven by all the emotions and things like that, I can watch it and appreciate the movie for what it is. You starred in the movie. You sat in the makeup chair for hours. You know the cast. You know the director. You know what I mean? You go on these press runs and everything like that. Are you able to watch it and kind of just have fun watching the movie, or do you analyze it and it's a little different experience for you?
Unfortunately, yes, it is a different experience for me, and I think that I would need to watch a movie that I've been in like maybe more than a couple of times, because every time I'll be focusing on one thing. I'm very critical, and I'm trying as I age to just relax. I'm a very rigid type A kind of person, so I'm always thinking I should have done this, I should have done that, or maybe because I do have an interest in exploring sort of like directing, so it's hard for me to accept and respect an editing decision that a director has chosen when I knew all the takes that were. So I'm very critical, but that's something that I just share with myself, and I blow up my husband's ear out, at bedtime. But I'm overall I'm very proud of this, and it does feel good when you put all the responsibility on your director if he's writing it, because it's his project. I'm just a fragment of his imagination, and my job is to, now that I've said yes, my job is to manifest it as close as possible to how he's envisioning it. But honestly, like, this is his baby, so I don't want to be that like, well, this is my opinion about something, or what I may have like concerns or input. But if he doesn't consider them, I need to respect that he's the captain of that ship,
But you're responsible for bringing the character Gamora to life,
yes.
right? And this was a pre-existing character. But what did you use as inspiration for her?
Obviously, I didn't focus on like the comedy. I tried to find like focusing on the drama and everything. And Gamora, Nebula, and Ronan in the first installation are children that were taken from their respective planets, and they witnessed Thanos, who's their stepdad, like decimate their planets and keep them as a keepsake, and also like train them and force them into a life of violence and corruption. So I need to find the truth in that and understand why she's an assassin, why she's a warrior, why she wants to get away. So the closest reference that I had at the time was I had seen a documentary about the Lost Boys of Sudan, and because that was the closest thing I can compare it to. I'm like, what would it be like? I'm like, oh, it's very similar to when you're sleeping at night, your little African baby with your mom and your pop and your siblings, and all of a sudden, like your village is attacked and you're taken and you are forced to kill. Like, and then some of you get out and most of you don't. And so you have a beautiful big heart that was meant for so much potential trapped in the life of a beast, of a mind of a beast, because you were taken so innocently. So you accept what you were given. So I was like, well, that must be Gamora and Nebula. And that served still for this installation in terms of like how to understand their dynamic as sisters, you know?
Mm-hmm. Wow. Damn. So now
I know it's deep, but the film is not as heavy.
When I look at you now on the screen, I'm going to be crying every time I see you. My gosh. This is Mike Muse.
Hey, Zoe. So great to
Hi.
meet you. I'm so excited for this film. I can't wait to see it. It's interesting you brought up the Lost Boys of Sudan over in Africa. This past Saturday, I had the incredible opportunity to preview this documentary called the AfroLatinos, The Untaught Story. And it was almost this very therapeutic moment that was happening inside the room, just because there is this undercurrent of conversation in terms of blackness within the Latino culture and the acceptance and or denial of blackness vis-a-vis the lands of Africa and or of colorism. And to see the Latino women that were in there almost as a cathartic approach talking about they're glad that this story is being told of women who look like them. And so I'm just curious, as you talk about your children, you reference that this is a conversation that you're having inside your family. Do you have this conversation with your friends in terms of blackness and color, in terms of Latino culture with Afro?
Honestly, my sisters are like my closest friends that I talk super intimately with. We don't have conversations about black and white. Words like that, if we're not referring to them by a color of a clothing or a color of a tree or whatever, it makes us feel very uncomfortable when we are referring to skin, because it shouldn't be the priority. But we were raised like that by a mother who purposely protected us from that. It does exist in Latino America. I lived partially in Dominican Republic, where colorism is equated to your social status. So it's very so there's a European-esque quality to it, and there's also like this shame, but then there's this embrace, because you shame those that are darker, and you make it like, oh, I'm just playing, you need to get used to it, this is the way we joke, it's in our culture. But you're dancing the African music, you're eating the food that you eat is a mix of Europe and Africa and your indigenous descendants or Aborigines people that were there before you. So we understand what that is. We carry ourselves in our minds properly. I feel like you don't have to talk about your color or you're lighter than or darker than every day in order for you to get acceptance. I feel like that's the big conversation that we're not having is, why do you think about this constantly? What is it that you want others to say for you that you should just say to yourself? And basta. You know what I mean? Like, because I even in my social feed, all that I read, that's why I stopped reading my feeds, because one, the trolls are like insane people. But you have my black people and then you have my Latino people, and all that they're doing is trying to figure out what I am. As opposed to just appreciate the fact that I'm working, that as a woman in America, I am breaking down as many barriers as I possibly can without having to be hateful or complain about it or lose people's attention. I'm like, let's just focus on the progress and not focus on the complaints. And like, I feel like I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt by not addressing it, because it's not something that I wake up in the morning and I'm troubled by. I'm not troubled by the way that I look. I'm not troubled by the skin. I never looked at my blonde friends or my darker friends and said, well, I wish I looked like her, or I was like, I'm good. I'm good. And for some reason, that bothers people that are struggling with their own identity. And I feel like that we need to address that and sort of cure that internally. I think more it's an internal problem that we're having versus an external situation that we have to address. That will come afterwards, because if every time I auditioned and I went somewhere, if I got something, it's because I'm Latina, or if I didn't get something, it's because I'm black and Latina, whatever. It's like, come on, people. Maybe I didn't get it because I didn't deserve it. Maybe I didn't get it because I didn't know this character. I didn't deliver my lines properly. Like, there are other factors besides people always coming after you. People have lives. You know what I mean? Like, I'm babbling now, but the thing with Afro-Latinos, I think that it's going to change the more and more Afro-Latinos just brush it off their shoulders and focus on your education, your uprising. And when you're in that position, when you're the president of that network, when you're the president of that newspaper column or whatever, then you can basically lead by example in the way that you succeed and not in the way that you denounce. You know what I'm saying? What happened to you? Because that's like, don't put energy there.
Zoe Saldana, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to come back. You want to talk with her? 888-742-3345.
But I get shaky because it's a deep talk.
Volume 2 in theaters this Friday. She got a lot of work that you're doing right now, too.
I know. In space, a lot of work in space. I'm happy. When I joined these films, I had no idea that they were going to become franchises. I'm really happy. But you know, there's also like just a little setback. I would like to play like an Earthling. I keep saying that to all y'all directors out there that you know, just
Star Trek, Guardians, Avengers, Avatar.
I'm just like, oh my God, like am I gonna be an Iron Man? Like, I have no idea.
Well, at least you know you got a place in the future.
Yes,
right.
that's
true. So what do you do for fun? You got 3 kids, you working crazy space stuff, you got a husband. What's like Zoe's downtime and hang out fun time?
Changing diapers and just, you know, raising my kids and catching up on what I miss when they're milestones. Because their milestones are happening so quickly now, they're so little. And I miss it. And so that's what I do on my downtime. And just sometimes just sit on the couch with my husband and just like sigh. Literally, that's all we've been doing. Like,
Exhale.
Gotta take a breath. Gotta take a breath.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier about how you kind of feel being pulled towards the direction of directing. And it made me think about Barbra Streisand. We were speaking about her earlier this week, and she was in the middle of a conversation, and she was saying how in Hollywood she feels like another level of sexism is towards female directors. And we've spoken about it, you know, as far as, you know, Oscar's so white, all of that. And we've spoken about sexism as far as in front of the camera. But do you know anything behind the camera?
I would only assume that it would be no different than what happens in Silicon Valley. What happens like in the the medicine field. It's like the moment a woman gains some kind of position of power, she will be questioned, just like any other person that would be rising. That's the way my understanding tells me that it should be. But women sometimes are questioned because it's almost like you're trying to prove our incompetence. You know, so I think that the election that we just went through gave us that. I know that people took a lot of things from this election. I want to learn from everything. There was a realization that I just had in this last election is that America is racist. Of course, there's racism everywhere. I'm not saying that there isn't, but I think that sexism is much stronger and it's much more aggressive. And you know, and it's turn on the TV, just read the newspaper. Like all the CEOs are primarily males. Like art is primarily male driven. Like male painters are the ones that are more successful. Primarily, there are women, but the fact that we're just so scarce, is that the word?
Yeah.
Is it lets you know that logically there's an imbalance. So, and it has to do with trusting leadership in women, you know, and I found it really offensive that Hillary Clinton was just questioned in a way that it was like, let's prove your incompetence because you couldn't even like handle your server. And I'm just like, people, she's up against a man that calls women pigs on national television and she's incompetent. Like this isn't like there's a big problem here and we have to address this pink elephant in the room, and it has to do with sexism in America.
Zoe Saldana, ladies and gentlemen. Well, you didn't know what you was getting when you walked in this room, huh, Zoe?
Look at Gary's like this. Can she see me? My publicist is like, okay, I see you.
Okay, I'm tapping out. I'm gonna make it fun real quick
know,
on the
it's
way
the
out.
coffee. No more coffee for me.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so you've done so many amazing roles, and all of us are fans of yours. But we want to see how big of a fan you are of yourself, and we have this game called
Knowledge of Self.
Oh.
Why don't you remind us?
Now time for knowledge of self. On Sway in the Morning.
You don't know shit.
It's a real simple game right here. DB, explain it to her.
I pulled some lines of movies that you starred in.
Okay.
And you have to guess which ones they are.
Okay.
All right?
All right, here we go.
Clip number
boy.
1.
I'm sorry, but rehearsals are closed.
Drumline.
Yes.
Okay, she got that.
Co-starred.
Damn, all right. Okay, cool. All right, here's the next clip.
Next clip. Clip number 2.
Oh, cute.
We're not gonna fucking talk about Shy.
Oh, Haven.
Yes.
Oh, she remembers.
Thank you. You're going to like the films that I really love.
Yes. Number 3.
But why did you lie about NASCAR? My father loves NASCAR.
Oh, Bernie Mac, get over it. No, not get over it. Look who's coming to dinner.
Guess who?
Guess who? Jesus,
yeah,
people,
yeah.
sorry.
Do you know what you did? All right,
Number
okay.
4.
So what brings you to Bolivia?
The Losers.
Yes. Almost tripped you up there.
Yeah, I almost said Colombiana. I'm like,
Yes.
damn it.
Okay, one last
5.
one.
Then watch my back until it's done.
Colombiana.
Damn. Yo, you are the first person. Is she the first person to get all of You may be the first actor to get it all done correct.
Really?
Yeah. Morris Chestnut was here last week. He couldn't even get.
You could have guessed what?
Who was here last week?
Morris
Morris
Chestnut
was here.
Did we do this with Samuel L. Jackson too? Did he do it?
But guys, they've done a whole lot more movies than I have, okay? And they're older. Maybe, you know.
Okay, they forgot? Are you saying they forgot?
Not like that. Not in that way.
Oh, okay.
You guys, I'm
Like
starting to
150
forget.
credits.
But they've been forgetting maybe. I'm starting now. Don't worry.
Listen, it was an absolute joy to have you back on our show,
Thank you,
Zoe.
guys.
And you guys make sure you check out Guardians of the Galaxy
Yes.
Volume 2 in theaters
And
this Friday.
real quick,
Yes.
Aaron Schwartz stars as Young Ego. My friend Aaron plays Young Ego, the young Kurt Russell in the movie in the first 5 minutes of the film.
Really?
Yeah,
I
It's
have
like
to
his
watch
best
it.
friend. Yeah.
Shout out.
Okay. Zoe, thanks for coming by.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Ciao, everybody.
All right, up next we got P&B Rock out of Philly. He got a new
wasn't too angry. I
project.
wasn't too
Sway in the morning.
It's Sway in the Morning. Only on Shea 45.